Pour one out for Robbie Robertson, 81 years old.
So this is the band.
Yes.
Gone too soon.
He accomplished a lot, though.
What's
up, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Alan Stiles, Dan Dibley, along with Matt Simonson, Evan Giddings. And what are you guys hot on?
Well, I mean, before we get into what we're hot on, can I start with gripes?
Oh, sure.
Shout out Guru's Gripes.
Yeah.
I'm a big-time fan of your show.
Oh.
Your show and his show. But are you familiar with the Oscars?
Yes, oh, sure.
So are you familiar with the bit that
Hot dog,
it's not really a bit, but they do in memoriam?
Yes.
They don't lead with in memoriam. And this morning, I'm in the car, fresh off of fingerprinting for a job that I may or may not be able to take here. And I'm going to keep this job, but I'm looking for a second job because I have a lot of free time in the morning. So I'm in the car at 10 a.m. And you lead with in memoriam. And I'm thinking to myself, fresh off the theme song, I know E's in for Guru, and you took shots at his vacation schedule, and that's whatever. That's neither here nor there. But you led with in memoriam. Can we get to in memoriam in the D block? Do we have to lead with who has died since we were left here?
Well, you also weren't here talking in the green room. I mean, this did lead the green room.
It did.
I mean, the prod meeting was started and ended with the band.
You got me thinking, and I had the gall to criticize Joe Lacob for taking the mic after Chris Mullen.
Right.
It was the same kind of fundamental mistake.
Totally. And again, Robbie Robertson, I saw your tweet, and we have a golf tournament show thread of like 35 guys, and when you sent that, I was like, the name sounds familiar, and then everyone else is weighing in, and I'm not as tuned in to classic rock or, old school rock. Alan and I did a whole thing yesterday where I was educating Alan on hip-hop, which was awkward in many, many ways because I got like 17 things wrong in a row. But
so you weren't educating him then?
Well, I thought that Donald Glover was Danny Glover's son.
Oh, no.
So, yeah.
I thought he was kidding.
Well,
I thought he was kidding. I was like, this is a good bit.
And I could have gotten away with it, but then I doubled down, and he looked at me, and then I tripled down, and he's like, Dibs, I used to respect you. And then now it's kind of turned into a whole bit where,
And by the way, the bit has now leaked into the text thread, which
it sure
isn't
has.
okay to me. Can we keep the bit in show?
Got to. But speaking of bits, the bit about Guru's vacation schedule was a bit. That's what it was.
Mean-spirited, I felt.
No, because he came down the YouTube chat and the text line road for also echoing the quote-unquote mean-spiritedness of Guru being off, and we're talking about how
Guru
he'll
on
be back
vacation again. Guru on vacation
Monday.
again. Guru on vacation again. It's the same vacation as it was Monday. That's one vacation.
And I loved Evan's flex of, 1 week isn't even really a vacation. When I was a kid, we would be gone.
He's about to take off
2 or 3 weeks at a time.
Gone for 10 days.
No, it's great. It's great. As a kid, we took one vacation as a family, not 1, 2, 2. We took one vacation. I was 10 months old. No, we went to Tahoe. And apparently it went so badly that my parents, Dwayne and Sue, rest in peace, they vowed never again.
So that was your fault.
I was
that you
10
never
months
took
old.
A vacation.
No, I was 10 months old. I believe that all I did was
you were in the
do
room?
diaper things. It was my siblings who reportedly were in the hot tub and did damage to the rental pre-Airbnb that my parents had to answer for, and they vowed never again would they take a vacation.
So what is it called between the end of the spring school year and the beginning of the fall term?
It's called summer vacation.
Is that not a...
called
so that is longer than 2 weeks.
Job time.
Well, it is in high school. But when you're younger, you mess around as a kid. Some people go places, some people don't, but you have a vacation. But it sounds like the one vacation when you were 10 months old, so it's not your fault. And I'm not saying you're bitter about it, but it sounds like because of that one experience, you don't have a traditional vacation, which you could have had.
Well, my father worked 51 weeks a year, so there was never really a time where, like, Dwayne's from the old school.
I know. I'm shaking my head because I know.
And your father and my father might as well have been related, and I love your father and my dad, rest in peace, but your dad and my dad were cut from the same cloth. My dad broke his foot at work and went to work the next day. And then at the end of that day, he was like, my foot still hurts, went and got a cast, and wait for it, then went to work the next day. So there was no vacation. There was no summer vacation in my household. It was Dwayne worked 51 weeks a year, and the 1 week he didn't work was the Humboldt County Fair, and he went up to Ferndale, and he went to the races for 4 days, and that was his vacation was get the blank away from me, family, and don't call me. I have no cell phone. Don't write me. There'll be no postcards. There'll be no tracing me. Nothing. So we didn't really do vacations like most people.
They also call it summer break, right? It doesn't have to be vacation. I think Evan is playing with the words here. It's a break. It's a break.
Sure.
Doesn't mean you're going to take a trip.
Well, but okay, I could go to Stockton for 2 weeks, and I don't know I would, but I could go to Yosemite. I could go to
Dang, Stockton catching strays? Or?
Yeah. Oh, a lot of love for Stockton. Was just out
I
there
love
for the
Stockton.
ports. Absolutely. The shout out the ports. You
Never
need a
been.
Broadcaster. Oh, so you don't even know?
No, that's why I'm not. You're not enticing me to go.
Well, maybe you should get out there and see for yourself.
Okay.
So if you're going down to, I don't know, along the coast, is that a break? Is that a trip? Is that like, just because you don't go, like, I never went overseas as a kid.
Right.
It's still part of the break, still part of vacation. Like,
Yeah, I would say so.
When you are, like, were your parents teachers or were they employed in the summer?
yeah, no. They both had generally like 2 weeks off.
Okay.
So they'd take them at the same time. And
Nice.
then we'd
Where
go
you go on
somewhere.
vacation?
No, that's beautiful.
Yeah, we'd go to see my grandparents, generally.
Where?
They lived in New Hampshire,
Oh, that's
Where?
so good.
Actually, where in New Hampshire?
Lake Winnipesaukee.
Okay, so it was on a
Beautiful.
lake.
That sounds made up, but I know it's not.
Or Lake Winnisquam.
Right.
But yeah, so
I met my first girlfriend at Lake Winnipesaukee. Oh boy, brunette. She was smoking. No, but
there
it
are a
sounds
lot of
made
them.
up, yeah.
No, but yeah, it sounds made up, and it sounds like something from a long time ago, which it was, because I haven't been back there since I was like, probably like 8 or 9. But eventually, yeah, you run into some stuff where during the summer you got plans during your break, so you can't go on vacation, or your parents got to work, or things come up.
The problem is when you have kids, summer break becomes summer paid because you got a 10-week summer, and for 2 weeks, yes, you go to Lake Winnipesaukee or wherever in New Hampshire, but the other 8 weeks, it's like, what do we do with young Evan? We got to put him in camp. At Steiny's camp is $3,000 a week.
No.
No?
Wait, is this when you're an adult or a kid?
This is when you're a parent and you have children, and like both parents work, and you
Right.
need to do something with your kid.
I did
You're
a lot.
gonna be there.
I did a lot of camps.
Yeah, I mean,
I
your
did
baby girl is
Camp Concord. Shout out!
Yeah.
I went to Stanford basketball camp.
Of course.
I went to IMG back in the day in Florida.
Look at you,
I did a lot.
Bradenton.
Did a lot.
Wow.
Yeah. Shout out.
Yeah,
shout out
me
some
too.
of
Shout
them.
out Stephen
yeah,
A.
me too. I had a lot of all-star traveling teams I was playing on, and
Yeah.
we'd travel around the East Coast and got out to Stock. Played at the University of Pacific, actually, when I was in 11th grade.
Yeah.
There you go.
Now Pacific University. I went to a pirate basketball camp at Drake and played for the likes of Steve Lavin was my coach, and Mike Fulton,
Is he a
Marin
good
County
coach,
Hall of
Stevie?
Famer.
Stevie L?
Steve Lavin at the time was a very good coach.
Now,
he
he
was a
coached-
high school senior when he coached me.
People are going to think, can you give me his chronology?
Yeah, he went to Drake High School, which is now Archie Williams. He was the 6th man on an undefeated state championship team. My brother was the starter. Steve Lavin would come off the bench and replace my brother. Then he went down and played college basketball at Chapman College.
Sure.
Which you know,
D3.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
down
Campus.
in SoCal. And then he went to Purdue and became a grad assistant for a guy named Gene Cady.
Sure.
Gene Cady, the legend. And so Steve would work for Gene Cady for a long time. And then he got a job on Jim Herrick's staff at UCLA, which is when they had that great run, the pre-Final Four run with Ben Howland. But Jim Herrick, he was on that staff. And I think that Jim Herrick left, and then Steve Lavin got
So
the
that
job
was his first head coaching job
at
in
UCLA.
college.
Yes. And then he's gone on subsequently to coach at St. John's, and now he's at San Diego, USD.
Yeah. All right.
And see, would you define him as a player's coach? Something we've been tossing around a lot
Probably.
today.
And I like that. And I do want to circle back to this because I think Steiny had it wrong in terms of Kyle Shanahan. I thought that you had misjudged Kyle Shanahan as a player's coach. Just because he and stuff is not as much of an orator as Jim Harbaugh doesn't mean that he's not a very good player's coach. I believe that Kyle Shanahan's team, to a man, would run through a wall
I
for
don't.
him.
I think a lot of them would. I think there's some that are skeptical of him. And
could you name a couple?
The younger type. I think he's got a tiered system.
Jair Brown's in trouble.
No, I mean, and maybe you could be like, well, that's just smart, Steiny. But I think that there's probably a lot of players on the team that know that Shanahan can be tough with Brandon Ayuk as a rookie, but he ain't going to say anything to George Kittle or to Bosa or to Trent Williams. He did not like. That's just my feeling on it.
Okay, it's interesting because you mentioned Jim Harbaugh. And Harbaugh, to me, is your classic phony in terms of, like, he did what he did, and you even mentioned it. You got to a point where his team gave up on him.
Yes.
They were 7-4, I think you said. I was getting a little pasta salad at Safeway, and I heard this. They were 7-4, and they wound up 8-8, and that team basically quit on him because they were done with him. They had tuned him out.
Absolutely.
So, to me, he's more closely linked to Mark Jackson than Shanahan is.
Yeah, I don't want to link Shanahan to Mark Jackson because I think
you had them both down there at the bottom of your tier.
The relationship portion of coaching as a whole.
I don't mean to weaponize your own words against you, but I almost crashed my car.
Okay.
On San Pablo Dam Road.
As long as you don't weaponize the word Glover, then we should be fine.
Yeah,
I might have had that wrong.
I got to get going. I do have a doctor's appointment.
Yeah, just close up shop.
It's
and Evan, you can stay. We'd love to have you.
I do think that Shanahan's an interesting guy, and there is something. There's something there that we haven't really put our finger on outside his clear brilliance as a play caller. There's something more. Oh. You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ, FM, and HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. The other thing is Harbaugh played. He played the game. Played the game. Shanahan. A couple games in Texas. Have a good one, guys.